good afternoon, and whatever time it is.
Oh,
Although,
that was really awkward, but we'll go with it.
okay, yeah. So, just FYI, if it is like 1, 2, 3, or 4 a.m. and you guys haven't gone to sleep yet, I would recommend that. Just go to sleep.
Yeah,
But
your doctor, you
then watch this video when you wake up. Just yeah.
no, watch this video first, then go to bed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
'Cause we're greedy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so I'm recording this video and I'm gonna edit it, but it's because Jayden is on his phone, so if his mic sounds weird or whatever,
Yes.
it's because he decided he was gonna break his audio jack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
but
ahead.
in this video, we actually decided to do another format. So the old format of just me and him having a conversation, that's not going away. But we're just trying something new in which it's more of like a story time, campfire stories type video. If you couldn't tell by what I'm assuming is the background video.
Yeah, and the fire noises, which I'll probably start now. Just gotta add the snap so I can see the loud bump. Anyway.
Bro, that's smart. Oh my god. Wait, is that okay, no, we're gonna get off in a tangent on this.
What were you?
Um okay, so we'll start. Do you have a story?
No,
Or
I don't
you
have
want
a
me to
story
start?
because I kind of want to go
Oh.
off of what you go because I don't really.
Oh, okay.
Kind of.
So I have this Okay. So I have this story of my 8th grade year in middle school. Uh this was the same school that had the black mold incident and a whole other list of problems. But I should have probably been a lot more like worried and scared than I was. Um but so it was like springtime, April, Mayish, and it was passing period. I was going to musical theory, which you were essentially required to take, and so we get there, and we're in the library because public computers. Um, so we're doing a gravel brochure on like a music festival that we're supposed to make, school projects. Um, and so, um, and so the school calls a code yellow, um, which we all thought was a drill. And for code yellow, you don't do much. You just stay in the classroom.
What's a code yellow?
It's the shelter in place one, so it's not like a lockdown where you hide in the closet and whatever. It's like you just stay in the classroom, lock the door, just don't go outside. That stuff.
It's like the intruder kind of thing, right?
No, that's a code red. Code yellow is like if there's a medical emergency, they don't want people walking around in the hallways and stuff.
Oh, so like if someone had a seizure or something.
Yeah, exactly. So just like
Get them on their thing and they could have a clear path through the hallways.
yeah, exactly. So it's just everyone goes in their classroom, teachers lock the door. You can't leave, but you don't have to like do extreme things.
Right.
So an hour goes by and we're all wondering because normally code yellows don't last hours on end, right?
Right.
But okay, so we're wondering, but the school literally told us nothing. And then the teacher's telling us, oh, if there's some medical emergency, they'll just want, everyone out. And then police cars arrive outside. And I say police cars, but I mean full on like SWAT vans show up outside.
Jeez.
So this puts everyone on edge. And we sit there for another 2 hours before we finally figure out what happened. And we figure it out off of the local town's news. No, it might have been like the public news for our like state. Um, and apparently somebody decided it would be a good idea to call like 30 schools or something, or it might have just been ours. I don't know. Memory's fuzzy. It was a long time ago. Um, and said that he put a bomb in someone's locker. Um,
What? Oh,
so,
Steam just opened. Sorry. What?
um, so the 3 hours, the over 3 hours that we had to sit in the library playing games on the library computers, cause, that's what you did back then. Um, and that's why the SWAT showed up and everything. And I don't know, me being, like, in 8th grade, I didn't comprehend this at all, didn't really care. Because, like, oh, it's great, I didn't have to go to, like, chemistry or, like, stuff that I had right after this. And I'm just wondering, if it happened now, I probably would have not reacted any differently.
What? Bro, some kid, this random guy was like, I put a bomb in your locker.
Well,
What?
I have no, not in my specific locker. They called the
Right.
school and were like, I want $100,000 or I'm blowing this school sky high, movie stuff.
Yeah, let's go. Oh my god, that reminds me. So I thought that you were actually, I thought there was actually gonna be a medical emergency. So I thought this story, where we used to live in Alaska, we had every year, at the end of the year, we had this, I think it was like a 5-mile run or something, to see who
Oh,
could do it the fastest. And everyone had to participate. I mean, some of the teachers even participated, and they did it by grade and like in alphabetical order or whatever. So obviously they didn't. If you started first, you didn't get a head start or whatever. But like, but not everyone started at the same time. So I was on my, and it wasn't like in the, it was on the like the track or whatever. It was like throughout because it's a small town, so it was, or a city, I guess. So we went down to like the baseball field and like there was a part where so we started on the track and then we went around like the ice rink and we went around like towards the shops through a neighborhood and stuff. It's like a really small town, and we had to do like 5 laps or whatever. And I was like I was on like I just finished with my like 3rd lap or whatever, and they stopped the timer and everyone had to stop because there was some kid who like asthma attacks aren't uncommon, right?
yeah.
So there was an ambulance that showed up and some kid went to the hospital. So and he had asthma. We all knew who he was. He had asthma. So we just assumed that it was like a really bad asthma attack. So we just restarted. We didn't restart, but we finished it. And we later found out the kid just randomly had a seizure. He just had a seizure while like
Oh,
randomly just running the freaking 5 miles. And like, and then he had a seizure. What's even crazier is that he had a seizure, and then, like 2 minutes later, some other kid fell and broke his wrist because it
yikes.
was really icy out. Like, what? So, like, he just had a seizure out of nowhere.
Yeah, that,
Like,
man.
what?
Seizures are crazy if you ever had one.
No, I haven't had a seizure. I
Oh,
know someone who's had a seizure. No.
I had one. Of course I don't remember it because, I was unconscious.
You really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. It was like a long time ago though. But that's not, I, I have another story. Completely unrelated to that.
Okay.
But me being next to the river reminded me of something that I found kind of scary and hilarious as a child. That which I will only refer to as the beachside baptism. Um, so I am a kid, getting my feet in the water, as a kid does. Don't want to go fully in because it's too cold. So I'm like skipping rocks, and all of a sudden, like a bunch of people are on the beach, and then some of them are in these like white robes.
Mm.
Not robes, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Um, and two of them go in the water. Um, and then from there on, it's in the Delaware River. So from there on, it's like dunk their head in the water, you know, stuff like that. Everyone was cheering and stuff, which wasn't too crazy. Of course, I'm a kid. Didn't really care. These people were doing their thing. Um, but then, I don't know if you've ever been to a baptism. This was my first one. I don't know, being to. I guess you could say that involuntarily being to.
Right.
Um, but so there's a part afterwards where I don't exactly understand what was going on because they were speaking Spanish. Because the family was Hispanic, and so one guy is yelling at each person as he walks by, and they're like crying, and I don't understand what's happening, and I'm scared because a tiny child me just sees this man screaming at these people and they're crying. Um, and then the second guy goes by, and he's talking softly to them, puts their hand on their shoulder, they're doing something with their hands, like praying, and and they're just completely calming down. I mean, that story always resonated with me, because it was, I don't know, one of the first times I remember going, what is happening right now?
Oh, that's
Uh,
what. That's I don't even know.
Confusing.
That is. I feel like I would be really confused too. Oh, oh, that reminds me. I don't even know how this reminded me of it, but so I play hockey, and right after practice, my dad was talking to one of the moms and the coach, and I was in the car, and she was like, and let's just say that this mom's kid, he was, he was more of like one of the, like, what do you call it? He liked to do stuff that wasn't really allowed. Like, he was
Oh,
a rule
rule
breaker.
breaker?
He was a rule
Yeah.
breaker. And, and so my dad was like, or she was like, have you guys seen my son? And
Oh.
my dad said, why don't you look for the smoke? Now, if you know, if you understand what he meant, then good. He meant, like,
Oh.
look for the fire, as if he was committing arson.
Ah.
But
Yes.
which isn't good. Obviously it's a joke. But what she interpreted it as is, smoking. It,
Ah.
it was really funny because my coach never let my dad live that down. He always made fun of my dad for like making as if her son was some type of um whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get demonetized, but yeah. It was a pretty funny story, though. I won't lie. It was really out of nowhere. Like, just,
You know.
my dad never makes comments like, actually, that's not true. I guess now that I think of it, he's quite famous for making snotty remarks. Especially towards my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
okay, go ahead.
no. I was just saying, it's your story, man.
So, okay, so now that I think of that, also remind. I don't know if I've told this story. Have I told this? I don't know. Um, but my I had my best friend over where we used to live. And he did have a lisp. So he would say my name like Dewit, instead of Jarrett, right? And my dad, no one ever made fun of him for it. Obviously, that's messed up. And
Yeah,
one day, my dad, he says, he comes over and he's like, we're all downstairs, chilling, watching a movie. He comes in. We're really close friends, obviously, so he just came in. And he's like, it's kind of crazy now that I'm thinking about it. That's crazy. And he says, oh, what did he say? I think he said, hey, Dewit, you want to go play upstairs? Like play video games. Um, and my dad, just randomly was like, yeah, Dewit, why don't you go upstairs and play video games? Like,
oh,
completely makes fun of his lisp. Like, just out of nowhere.
oh,
Like, mocks him. Hey, Dewit, why don't you go upstairs and play your video games? Like, okay, I'm probably gonna bleep that out, but, my friend, his lisp wasn't that bad. Like,
yeah,
it was like more of, I think I embellished it when I said it was, when he said, he was like, Jarrett, you wanna go play upstairs? Like, you could understand it, but it was still there, like, I mean, obviously you can understand it no matter what, but you could barely hear it. And my dad just
yeah,
completely took it to a whole nother level. Especially since he's my dad, and making fun of one of my friends. And my dad,
yeah.
jeez. My friend was really, he was really shook after that. And my dad just immediately, like, turned completely red and didn't talk to the rest of the time, the rest of the day. And then during dinner, my mom basically, like, obviously didn't yell at him, but, like, we started making fun of him, sort of, like, in a joking way with, like, the family. Like,
Yeah.
laughing and saying, like, that's really messed up that you did that. And, and obviously he knew it was, and he apologized next time he came over. And but Jesus, I'm gonna have to bleep a lot of that. My
Yeah.
friend actually, totally forgot that it happened the next time he came over. So, yeah,
But
that's, yeah, go ahead.
short-term memory loss is a benefit sometimes.
It definitely is. Yeah. God. So,
I feel like
what?
I
Awkward?
feel like that's I feel like that's like a staple for dads to be like, if they're not embarrassing you to the fullest extent, what are they doing?
Yeah, they're obviously a failure as a dad.
Like, I love my dad. Some of the things he's done just to embarrass me.
Oh god, I don't even think I'm gonna invite my parents to my wedding. Because they're gonna show a lot of embarrassing
Yikes.
things. Obviously, that's not true. That was a joke. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
invite my parents to my. Well, you never know. But
Yeah.
so I've told two stories in a row. I want you to tell a story, but I've got a really good one after. This.
Oh, story. Ah, yes, I have one.
Ah, yeah.
Um, um, so, So, God, I really can't think of anything. I think you should tell a story so I could think.
Okay, so, another story. So, this is also where I used to live. Um, I used to be, well, I'm still a pretty big Harry Potter fan, but, um, when I read the books in 5th grade, I finished in 5th, going into 6th grade, during summer. And I was a huge Harry Potter fan. And so what I did is I read a book and then I watched the book that, like, was the same as, or I watched the book, I watched the movie. That was the same as the book, right? So I read the first one, watched the first, movie. So, um, I was young and was really into young Emma Watson at the time, right? Most kids are.
Yeah.
Maybe not young Emma Watson. Obviously not when she was like 10. Don't get me wrong, but like, um, and then there was this girl in 6th grade who she looked relatively similar to young Emma Watson. Not really, but kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord have mercy on my 6th grade soul, did I really think she looked like Emma Watson. And
Ah.
so being the coolest 6th grader that year, the
Ah.
coolest white 6th grader, I should say,
Ah.
decide that, you know what? Well, okay, you know what was the driving force? Is some kid who I didn't really like, he was like, who do you like? And I said, I'll tell you later. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell this girl that I like her before I tell this stupid kid, right? That was what happened. That was like, no, I gotta do this. So, well, I told her, I said, I like you. And she said, okay. She didn't know what to say. And then, for the next, like, week, we sat with each other during recess. And, oh, it was the most embarrassing thing. Not that, because, well, the teachers came up and, like, were like, oh, how you guys doing? But that wasn't the problem, right? Is I lost
Yeah.
feelings for her really quickly, because, you know, my love for, not my love, my affinity for Harry Potter quickly deteriorated. I mean, I still, Harry Potter's still awesome. It's just, it
Yeah.
wasn't what it used to be when I was reading it, and was really
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of lost interest in her, because it's Emma Watson, and Emma Watson was in Harry Potter, and that was, like, the whole thing. So I lost interest in her, and she obviously hadn't lost interest in me, and so I just started ignoring her, like not talking to her, which is a really big, like,
Oh.
really mean thing to do. Obviously, don't do that, guys. Tell her, be straight up. But I'm in 6th grade. Don't have any
Relationship experience.
no experience, right? So I just kind of ignore her and I stopped talking to her, and you know what? So I think that it's okay because she stopped talking to me. Soon, my detective skills start to realize, oh my god, what is happening? Now this, okay, so she's in my class. She was in 3 of my 8 classes, 7 classes. She would sit the farthest table away from me, except stare at me the whole time. The whole time. Wouldn't take her eyes off me. And then, and then, during or lunchtime in the cafeteria, she would also sit the farthest table away, but still always watch me. But sometimes sometimes she'd sit really far away, but sometimes she'd be really close. Like, one day she was all the way across the cafeteria, but she was still looking at me. The next day, she was in the table in front of me, watching me, looking into my soul. It was horrifying. Like, horrifying. Obviously, that was an embellishment. It wasn't horrifying. But it was kind of weird because she was just, like, never took her eyes off me. Ever. Yeah, that's the story.
Ooh.
I guess you could say borderline stalker. I'm glad she just never got on my bus.
Uh,
So have you thought of any yet?
I have, and this one's really embarrassing on my part, and I
Okay.
think I should preface this story by saying I am not a bad kid, nor do I strive to be. And but one thing I am, and one thing that the show does not help in the slightest, is I am incredibly sleep deprived. And this was when my school. Oh, I should also do a testament at like prior to this moment, I have never fallen asleep in class. And this was when it was still fully virtual. Um, and I was in my English class. I had finished all of my work, um, and everything, and I had not noticed drowsing off and
Dozing?
dozing, drowsing, whatever. I had not noticed myself dozing off, and I had woken up 20 minutes later to the sound of my teacher telling us that the class was over. What? And I, of course, stumbled to leave the meet. Of course, I was one of the last people, but I felt so genuinely embarrassed at that moment, um, that I just know. But I feel like that's a good thing and a human thing, because if you don't feel like embarrassed in something, that just means that you don't feel like resent for it, and that like you almost welcome it.
Wait, so you were embarrassed because you fell asleep in uh uh in an online class even though you had all your stuff done?
Yeah, no, cause
Well, not
all my
I go ahead.
all my friends call me a goody two shoes, and I am certainly far from that. But
Yeah.
I am proficient in class, and even though I had all my work done, and I had still left on time, I still felt so embarrassed because I had realized what I had done.
Dude, that reminds me. I also have been ending up sleep deprived in the last couple, like last 2 months of school. Um, and so I also have never fallen asleep in class. Before, or I guess prior to this, and I actually fell asleep in like at school. Because I was so
Oh,
tired. I had stayed up like pretty late, like 4. I'm not gonna lie, I stayed up till like 4 and I woke up. I got like 3 hours of sleep. I woke up, I was totally fine, energetic. For my first advisory class, perfectly fine. Next class, I could kind of keep my eyes open. But my third period class, like, I could not do work for the life of me. Like, we were supposed to be doing, like, it's like this test to know where you're at. Like, you take them 4 times or 3 times a year. Do you take those?
oh, yeah, yeah, those.
Oh, I was taking my English one. And we were supposed to do, obviously you're supposed to do your best, and I do that. I do my best, I don't rush through it. Um, and I couldn't answer the simple question. It was like, what is the meaning of this word in this sentence? Those are the easiest
What is
ones.
the meaning of what is the meaning of life?
Oh yeah, unless it's that. Well, then it's like 46 or whatever the heck the thing is. But then I was like, I couldn't answer the question. It was one of those simple, what does this word mean in this sentence? And I fell asleep in like it was the worst thing ever because when I fell asleep, like it felt amazing. I was so tired. I fell asleep and I was like, oh, this is so nice. Obviously, well, no, I didn't like. I wasn't like, oh my god, this is so nice. I was asleep, but it felt really nice when I woke up. And I woke up, and I was like, where is everyone? And my teacher hadn't woke me up, and lunch had started like 10 minutes earlier. And I was just sleeping in my class while my teacher was grading work. Oh my god, it was horrible. Not, no. It was not the move. It was awful. I woke up and it was like, oh, okay. But good
You
thing
know, it's
that
that like hot feeling in your chest, and you know you've done something
it
wrong.
is though. Yeah, exactly. And but good thing it was my English teacher, and my English teacher, she's really laid back, and I do really well in her class. So, I mean, yeah, I guess my friends also call me a goody two shoes, but so it was kind of. But
But on the quiz thing, there is like a scientific study showing that like when you put under like an immense amount of pressure, like those quizzes that are like you have a time limit and you have to do like a certain number in that given time, it is proven that the critical thinking section of your brain just decides to nope out and just go away.
yeah, well, we don't have a
That's
time limit. We just have to do it by a certain date. I guess
Yeah,
we
no,
have a.
do it by like the end of class. That's what I mean.
Well, well, we had until like last Saturday, and I finished. We had till actually no, we had till this Friday, like last Friday, I guess. So it wasn't,
Mhm.
and I had finished it like I was already like 90% done when I fell asleep, so it was fine. Oh, you know what that reminds me of? Okay, another sleep story. No, really, it's not mine though. So online
Oh,
class is the best thing because some people just forget that their camera or mic's on, right?
yeah.
Um, but I don't think this is about forgetting the camera. So this girl shows up to class every day. Well, not every day, most days. And every time she shows up to class, has her camera on. I don't know if it's because her parents force her to. I don't know her life. I don't even know her. So she always has her camera on. But somehow, she always manages to fall asleep, like directly on camera. Like she has it pointed directly at her face, and she falls asleep. How? How do you even? What? Like, it's not that it's crazy that she falls asleep on camera, but it's every single day. She does it in class as well. Every single class, every single day, she falls asleep. Like, super consistent. Never misses a nap. Anytime she's in class, whether it's virtual or in school, with her camera on, which she always has it on when she shows up, she always manages to fall asleep. I don't understand it. Like, you literally have to get, like, no sleep in order to do that. Every
Uh,
single class.
dude, I feel like that's a problem that only gets worse with like school and whatever. It's like they don't allot you enough time to sleep at night because they stagger the times in which school starts. I don't know if that's what it is for you as well.
They do,
But
they do.
that's like a common trend um that most schools do. Save money on buses, so they don't have to have like a bunch of buses for to go to all the different schools. So they just have the same buses that just go to different schools.
Right, yeah.
Um, but it only gets worse, and I say that because when you move on to high school and it starts even earlier, Like, it's horrible because obviously I I being who I am not going to go to bed at 7 o'clock just so I can get a good night's sleep just to wake up at 5 in the morning.
Exactly. And because to add on to your point, teachers set like their time or their like they set due dates to like 12 p.m. You know, and then they expect you to like some people to turn it in at 12 p.m. and then immediately go to bed, or 12 a.m. I mean, right? It would be 12 a.m. They expect you to turn it at 12 a.m. and then they don't expect them to like want to be on their phone after doing homework or something. Like, of course, I mean, unless you're like really tired and you're like the girl
Yeah,
we just talked
exactly.
about. Like, so like I want to be on my phone like for a little bit after doing a long homework or something, especially like because if you complete it at like 12, 11, either you are very like you procrastinate, which I will say I'm guilty of, or you just worked really hard on it and took like all day and you want a reward, basically your phone, so, or a good night's rest, you know, the phone's really addicting, so.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It,
crazy.
sa- Sadly, on that sleep depriving, oddly scientific note, I think we will have to end this show. But
Yes, we are right long into this 36 minutes, probably bring it down to like 35 minutes. Yeah.
but without a further ado, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. It is free, and it's fine if we drift down to your list of subscriptions that you'll never watch again. We all have that. But without a further ado, good night.
Yep, and good morning or good night. Get some sleep.
Ah.